Ford just posted a record profit for quarter two of 2025, but it's also saying it's going to be hit hard and harder than other automakers due to tariffs, including one deal that was recently signed between Japan and the United States. Is that fair? Hey, it's Tim. Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. It's Friday. It's Truck News Recap Day. Let's go over this story and other stories that happened this week and talk about some stuff behind the scenes as well as the hot topics. You can find this episode in your favorite podcast player or you watch it here on YouTube. Either way, this is a weekly show I put out. I hope you sit back, relax, pop top, and enjoy what we're talking about. So it's on the website, pickuptrucktalk.com, and you can find this story. Let me refresh your browser here and get you the right story. I edited the story and I changed the title because, whoopsie, I made a little mistake. So I am human, by the way. So I have some stories this week. So we have a Grand Cherokee at a recall. I have a Toyota Tundra Raptor Fighter Spy, which is a really fun story. It's probably a SEMA build, but it'd be fun to think of them building a really Raptor fighter, as Toyota has not done for years, although fans have asked for it. We'll get into more about the EPA's greenhouse gas rollback. It's a big story this week. More details for that, including a House bill. We'll talk more details on that people have been talking about. And then here we go. Ford projects tariffs will cost $2 billion, but it also records a record quarter two profit. So here is Jim Farley talking. A photo of him. But the profit reached a record $50.2 billion, driven largely by strong U.S. sales, 5% this is a 5% increase from $47.81 billion in second quarter of 2024, according to CNBC.com. Automotive revenue in the year earlier quarter was $44.81 billion. So they've increased sales. Now, this was largely due, I think, to the employee pricing plan they put out. A lot of sales in quarter two, really driving people to the dealership lots. They sold a lot of vehicles last quarter. If you don't remember, the sales were, buy in America, for in America. I forget, it was a built for America, Ford employee pricing. It was a whole marketing plan. Now, they did see the adjusted earnings before interest and taxes actually fell to $2.1 billion. So we have gross profit and then we have adjusted profit. So their adjusted earnings went down, which is probably due to the employee pricing. So that some of their profit on each vehicle was down because they gave away some of the profit to you, the customer. The CFO said that they actually built on the fourth consecutive quarter of better cost improvement. Their balance sheet is stronger. They're doing better. Now, Ford did reinstate their full year guidance, which is something that investors like to see. They'd taken that off when the tariffs were announced because they didn't know what was going on, a lot of uncertainty. But they raised the thoughts. Earlier, they thought it was going to cost them $1.5 billion. Now they're saying $2 billion. And I have some details for you on why they think it's going to cost that more and how they're saying it's unfair. Let's get to some of these two key details here. So they said the tariffs will cost them $2 billion. It's up $1.5 billion. So what is costing them the money? Ford talks all the time about how they are the most American automaker. They employ the most people. They build the most vehicles here in America. But they also do some stuff overseas. So they have a couple things going on. They have to pay duties on steel and aluminum. And they build a lot of aluminum, right? So the trucks have a lot of aluminum on them, especially the F-150. Then they have imports from Europe and Asia. They figure that's going to reach about $3 billion for the entire year. So what do they import? They import the Transit Connect vans, which is built in Europe, and various parts like fasteners, washers, and engine components from different European and Asian suppliers, according to a Google search they just did. CFO Jim Farley acknowledged the prolonged nature of these tariffs. He believes it's going to be long-term tariffs, and they're not going to drastically change their business, but they're difficult to predict their full impact. They have no more room here in the United States to build the Transit Connect. He's gone on record saying the plant capacity is full, and he can't, from his viewpoint, invest to build another plant in the United States to build Transit Connect here. It doesn't make sense for him because the volume's not here, and he just sells the van globally. And I would imagine he sells more Transit Connects in Europe than he does in the United States. So I don't know if it makes sense for him to build here in the U.S. from a overall business standpoint. I get people want to build in the United States. I get the more job aspect. But I think from a global picture, I'm not sure where it fits. And I don't know his business. I'm not going to say I do. So that's what he's saying. Now, the company also faced significant costs related to the recall. They had two big ones. Remember, Ford leads the industry this year in recalls. A lot of these recalls are software recalls, which is not so financially disastrous, right? Software recalls. But they have a couple of big ones that are going to contribute to some massive charges. 700,000 SUVs due to fuel leaks. This is where the fuel injector is cracked. It's an Italian supplier. That contributed to a $570 million charge, which is Ford publicly said, $570 million. They also had 800,000 vehicles for a faulty fuel pump. This was a fuel pump that the Mexican supplier, a tier 3 supplier, couldn't build. I think it was tier 3. They couldn't just build. So they built best they could and sent it off to tier 2, and tier 2 sent it off, and it just was a mess. So those two big recalls are going to impact them a lot this year. They haven't said how much the 850,000 vehicle recall is going to cost, but I imagine it's going to be around 570 million or more. Is going to be an issue there. And so those are two big recalls. Other issues that have been an issue for them. Their Ford Pro, which is their business division, is generating $2.3 billion in profit, although it was a 10% decline. The big deal is the Ford Pro subscriptions. This is like GM's OnStar. Ford Pro subscription, you can track your fleet, see what kind of oil changes they have, see the fleet are at, make sure they're charging at night if they have an EV service. The subscription business is increasing. It's gone up 24% as far as revenue. It rose 11% to $18.8 billion. Paid subscriptions is up 24%. So more people are subscribing to service. This is great for an automaker because now not only do you sell the vehicle, now you have paid subscriptions as well. It's a great moneymaker for them. Ford Blue, the traditional gasoline vehicle unit, saw a significant 43% drop in profit. That's likely due to the employee pricing, right? So you sell out more vehicles, but you make less profit on them. The company's electric vehicle business, the Model Mach-E, that kind of stuff, big drop, still mounting losses. So the losses rose to $1.3 billion in losses. And with the federal tax credit ending, no insight there. And Ford Credit, now that saw an increase. And as you imagine, more people financed vehicles when they bought them this spring in quarter 2. So that went up. So a mixed bag there. But let me get to another change here I forgot about. We'll talk more about that. Let's talk about my sponsors, XPEL, see what they're up to and how they can help keep your truck clean.
If you're like me, you appreciate doing the job right. In this case, cleaning your truck. Yeah, no more going through the car washes, getting the swirl marks. I'm going to clean this truck the right way at home with the right cleaning products. To do that, my friends at XPEL offer a variety of high quality cleaning materials that professional detailers use that you can use at home. I'm talking about two products in this video. We're talking about foam soap and my personal favorite, the Big Foam Cannon. Say hello to my little friend. So what I'm going to do in this short video is show you how this works. I'm going to take some soap and pour it in to the soap container. And then I'm going to add some water to it, and I'll hook it up to my power washer. So now that I have it mixed together, and I've used this a few times lately, so I'm going to take this container and hook it to my power washer, and then we'll apply this foam on top of my truck and let it do its job. Okay, now that I got the truck wet, I'm just going to pop this off here. Just going to take the power washer, connect this up, and apply my stream of soap. Now, as that pulls the dirt and debris off of the hood on down, I'm going to give it some assistance because I have some major bugs on here from my long road trip that I took. So I'll get this all looking good. But let's head back to the video. You should check out xpel.com for your own big foam cannon.
Okay, I forgot about this one. Remember in my head. This is something that Ford's talking about. They see how CAFE, the corporate average fuel economy, has been defanged. No more fines. That's going to really impact their business, they say, in a positive way, because now the emission tailwind's pretty substantial for us, Farley noted. The regulatory shift, combined with the Ford Pro and Ford Blue business divisions, is going to give us the flexibility to meet customer demand while improving financial performance. What does that mean? He can build more big-ass SUVs that have more profit in them, because he's not going to worry about whether he meets his corporate average fuel economy goals. So he's going to just build more of these. He can build more Broncos. He can build more this stuff. Doesn't have to worry about the EV business, because he just build more of that, more what people want, not building for a cafe. So he can make more profit now. So he's excited about that, which he should be. And consumers are excited about that, which they should be. So that makes more sense. It's more common sense legislation that meets emissions. Now, I don't care what happens in politics, so whatever. But I just think it's great that we can get more vehicles that people want on the road. And what's great about these SUVs these days is they're not the 20-year-old SUVs I grew up with, or actually, I'm going to say 40-year-old SUVs I grew up with that were gas guzzling machines. These EcoBoost engines and the diesels from like GM and stuff are much more fuel efficient than they used to be. So to me, it's a win-win. And this is great. I like it. Big fan of that. So he's looking at this in a positive manner. I think it's great. I don't think cafe should go away completely personally, but it needs to be common sense. It needs to make more sense, more fitting what consumers are buying, while still making automakers push forward technologies that make sense from a reliability standpoint and improve fuel economy. I don't want to go back to a large SUV that gets 12 miles a gallon. I'm sorry, I just don't want to do that anymore. But I do want to have better performance and better horsepower and torque. And we want this stuff. I get that. Another thing Ford's been talking about today and for a while is the problem they're running into with some of the politics around these trade agreements. So 80% of the vehicles Ford sells in America are assembled in America. I walked in a Ford dealership last week. You see these signs everywhere. It says no other automaker employs more hourly workers or assembles more vehicles here than Ford. Only Detroit automaker added more hourly assembly jobs since others received bailouts. Ford's really proud about this. What they're not happy about is the trade deal that been signed with Japan, the EU, and South Korea. Those tariffs are at a lower price percentage than what Ford is paying for steel and aluminum imports, 15%. So actually, if you're GM and you're importing from South Korea, you're paying a lower tariff on those vehicles you're importing from South Korea than you're building here in the United States. So Ford's Build in America policy is actually hurting them. That's a problem. That's a big problem for them, because they're actually paying higher tariffs and things. And that's where they're saying it's not fair. And I tend to agree with that. That's a big issue. Okay. Now, another thing that my colleagues are talking about on other channels and things is, speaking of emissions and stuff, is there's a House Bill 4117. This is introduced in June. House bills get introduced all the time. There's a set of Republican lawmakers from Texas who introduced this, and they want to go further than just defanging cafe, getting rid of cafe. They want all of the emissions rules from anything set from federal and state level to just go away completely. They'll nullify existing emission standards, prohibit both federal and state governments from establishing, enforcing, or maintaining any fuel emission standards for motor vehicles. It's just make it all go away. Okay, I know there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be for this. There's going to be a lot of people against this. It's going to repeal all the sections of Clean Air Act related to motor vehicle emission standards, nullify California special waiver. It's just a bill that was introduced. Bills get introduced all the time. Until this thing can move forward and actually gets through the committee and gets actually heard in the House floor, I don't know there's much interest from the media to report on this, because it's just a House bill. And I don't know that, from a personal standpoint, I don't know that it's what really the majority of America wants. Maybe I know I'm gonna take some heat on that, but do we really want to go back to no catalytic converters? No, nothing. We want to go back to just V8 engines with nothing. I don't know. I remember the days of trying to watch Pittsburgh Steelers football games and smog in cities and not being able to see the city skyline. And this bill to me says that's what they want to do. They want to get rid of all that stuff, and they want to remove all of the regulations. And decrease fuel economy standards, increase air pollution, go back to 10 mile per gallon trucks. Okay, that's what they want. I also took a picture of my RHO last night. This had a rainstorm, had a sunset. That was a cool picture. It's on forum.pickuptrucktalk.com. Just show you guys on the forum or on the video if you're listening to the podcast. It's a cool video, cool photo. Check it out. All right, so on the YouTube channel, what happened this last week? Lots of stuff on diesels. Jesus. I have a family camping trip, and at the camping trip, we have about 50 people, and everybody has a truck. So this year, I decided to interview a couple people, and yeah, they had diesels. One guy went from a Toyota Tundra, who was a big Toyota Tundra fan. He saw my 2022 Tundra. I took camping one year. He hated it, so he went diesel. Another guy had a diesel, and he modified it and deleted all kind of stuff, and had nothing but problems. And people are arguing whether or not he did the right thing. I don't know what he did as far as tunes and such, but he had a mess, and he didn't want to delete his new one. He likes his diesel with the equipment on it, and people don't like that he said that, but that's his viewpoint. I also noted in that video that mechanics would probably argue with him, but people in my dealership here in town, my Ford dealership in town, said they don't take deleted diesels. And my cousins also at campsite bought a deleted semi truck, and they had a problem finding people to work on that deleted semi truck. So I think there's another side to deleted diesels. People tell me deleted diesel is the way to go. That's absolutely the way to go. But there's another piece to that. I think there's more to that story. I wanted to report on the other side of the story. I didn't know his truck was not deleted. I assumed it was. And so it was a really interesting conversation. And then we had Toyota Tundra's Raptor Fighter, and we talked about the EPA rolling back greenhouse gas rules to 2009 endangerment finding, not removing emissions. Remember, diesel particulate filters came out in 2004. If he was going to roll back diesel emissions equipment, he'd have to go back to 2004. He said quite clearly he's not going back to 2004. That should be the fact. Should stop the argument. But I didn't, so I did another video because he did answer a Q&A, and in that Q&A, there's one more question that people misunderstood. He said, in terms of greenhouse gas emissions rules, those greenhouse gas emissions rules were the EV mandate, talked about hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and EV trucks. That's what he focused on. That's his focus, not diesel emissions. So I'm trying to make that as clear as I can. Hopefully it's clear as mud. We'll see. But that's what I got for this week on Truck News Recap. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. For more, check out videos up over here. Website down below as well, pickuptrucktalk.com. As always, thanks for watching. I will see you down the road.